I still remember the sound of 300 people laughing at me at once. That sound doesn't fade. It lives in your chest like a stone you swallowed and can never cough back up. My name is Elena, and for 11 years, I was Mrs. Daniel Whitfield, wife of one of the most powerful real estate billionaires in the city. From the outside, my life looked like a fairy tale. Penthouse views, designer gowns, charity galas with my name printed in gold on the invitation. But fairy tales, I learned, are just stories someone else gets to write about your life while you quietly disappear inside them. That night was our company's 10th anniversary gala. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, a string quartet playing softly in the corner. I had spent weeks helping plan it, the flowers, the seating charts, even the menu. I believed, foolishly, that this night belonged to both of us. Daniel stood at the podium, glass raised, and began his speech thanking his team, his investors, his vision. Then his eyes found me in the crowd, and something in his smile turned cold. And of course, he said, raising his glass toward me, "Let's thank my wife, the woman who married me for my money and never built a single thing of her own." The room went silent for half a second, and then the laughter came. Polite, nervous, cruel laughter from people who depended on him for their paychecks. I felt my face burn. I felt 11 years of my life collapse into that one sentence. I had given up my career as an architect to support his empire. I had redesigned 3 of his buildings without ever taking credit because he asked me to stay quiet, to let the world believe the genius was his alone. I had buried my own dreams so his could grow taller. But what I didn't know that night was that humiliation, when it's public enough, has a way of waking something dangerous inside a woman who has spent too long staying silent. I smiled at the crowd. I raised my own glass. And inside, something shifted, quiet, cold, and absolutely certain. That night, I didn't cry in front of anyone. I went home, sat in the dark of our marble kitchen, and made a decision. If Daniel wanted to humiliate the woman who built his world from the shadows, then it was time the shadows came forward. The weeks after the gala were the loneliest of my life. Daniel didn't apologize. He didn't even seem to notice he'd done anything wrong. To him, I was decoration beautiful, useful, expected to smile no matter what was said. I started noticing things I had ignored for years. Late night calls he took in another room. A woman's name, Priya, that lit up his phone a little too often. Meetings he claimed were investors only, meetings I was specifically uninvited from. One evening, I found a folder of documents he'd left open on his study desk. Building permits, land deals, buyouts quietly funneled through a shell company I had never heard of. My stomach turned cold as I understood Daniel wasn't just humiliating me socially. He was hiding financial decisions from me, decisions that involved properties I had personally designed, properties technically still registered under both our names from our early years together. I confronted him quietly, not with tears, but with calm questions. He laughed it off the way he always did. "You wouldn't understand business, Alina. Just enjoy your life." That sentence broke something in me, not into pieces, but into clarity. I realized I had spent over a decade shrinking myself so he could feel bigger. I had silenced my own name on blueprints I had drawn with my own hands. I had smiled through years of small cruelties dressed up as jokes. So I stopped shrinking. I quietly reached out to an old mentor from architecture school, now a respected name in the industry. I shared carefully, legally, the original blueprints with my name on them, proof of my early contributions to Whitfield Properties' most celebrated buildings. I consulted a lawyer, not to destroy Daniel, but to protect what was rightfully mine. I discovered that several of the properties Daniel was secretly selling through that shell company were still legally tied to an old joint partnership we had signed in our second year of marriage, a clause he must have completely forgotten, back when he still needed me, back when he still respected what I brought to the table. Daniel had built an empire convinced no one was watching. He never imagined the quiet woman smiling beside him at every gala had been paying attention the entire time.
The dinner was Marcus's idea. He wanted to celebrate closing his biggest deal of the year. Same restaurant, same partners, same ritual of performance and polish. He even picked out what he thought I should wear. I smiled. I agreed. I wore exactly what I chose, and just before dessert was served, as Marcus raised his glass to toast himself, once again my phone buzzed. His partner's phones buzzed. His attorney's phone buzzed, because my attorney had just sent the filing notification, the divorce petition, the asset freeze, the documentation of every hidden transfer, every concealed account, every piece of property purchased without my knowledge, all of it, submitted to the court. In real time, at his celebration dinner, the color drained from Marcus's face in a way I had never seen before. Not embarrassment, not anger. Fear, real, unfiltered fear. The same kind of fear he had never once considered I might feel, standing at that table months ago while he made the room laugh at my expense. One of his partners leaned over quietly and said, "Marcus, is everything all right?" And Marcus, for perhaps the first time in his life, had nothing to say. I set my napkin on the table. I picked up my bag. And I looked at my husband, this man who had handed me a declined card as a punchline, who had built a second life while I ran his first one, and I said, simply and softly, I hope it was worth it. And I walked out. The settlement gave me the house, primary custody of Lily and Jordan, and a financial outcome that more than reflected 6 years of invisible labor. Marcus tried to fight it, but documentation doesn't lie, and strategy, as it turns out, is worth more than performance. I heard through a mutual friend that Priya left him 4 months later. I wasn't surprised. People ask me sometimes if I'm bitter, if I regret staying as long as I did, if the revenge was worth it. And I always say the same thing. It wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. I didn't destroy Marcus to hurt him. I simply stopped letting him destroy me. The most powerful thing I ever did wasn't the filing, or the dinner, or the look on his face. It was the morning after, when I woke up in my own house, made coffee in my own kitchen, and for the first time in 6 years, I felt like myself. Some people will take everything from you, your confidence, your voice, your sense of worth, and call it love. Don't let them. Know your value before someone else decides it for you. Because the moment you stop shrinking to fit their world, you remember just how much space you were always meant to take up.